Hello, everyone. This is Aiden Clark. This is day 8 of 2026. And it's been a full week of doing this. And I won't lie, it's definitely been a challenge. Before this, I've never really read my Bible or never had a lot of meaningful prayers to God. And so, me pushing myself out here and making me out of my comfort zone has definitely been tricky. I definitely worry that people will judge me because they might have known who I am before this, and to see someone go from that to this kind of raises doubt in people's eyes. And I'm not saying I was a bad kid, but I was never out there deliberately talking about God or showing my faith. I was more if someone asked if I was Christian, I'd be like, "Oh yeah, I'm Christian," but I never went out and showed it. And so, in doing so, this has definitely helped me use the high that God has just recently given me, and because this is something I want to pursue and something that I want to continuously do, I feel ready to share my testimony. And so I've been raised Christian my whole life. When I was younger, I went to Grace Church, and I don't know if any of you guys have been there before, but in the kids area, they got a bounce house, and I'm just being honest. I went there for the bounce house. I did believe that God existed. I did believe that Jesus died and rose 3 days later, but I wasn't going there for to read a Bible or to gain a relationship with God. I was going to have fun with friends, and just it wasn't really helping my relationship. And so before my freshman year of high school, I was on vacation at Sarasota, Florida, and that's when everything changed. The week I got there, the whole week I was in pain. I couldn't move. I couldn't do anything on my own. Like eating was a pain. I literally couldn't stand up. I was in a ball on my bed, and my mom started to worry. She was like, "This isn't right." And so we went to Sarasota Hospital, where I stayed there for the rest of my trip. And then at the last day, they're like, "Okay, well, um, the second you get back to Michigan, you need to go to the hospital." And so when I got to Detroit Children's Hospital, they sent all the information to them. And then I was there for probably another week or two. And I later figured out that I had Crohn's and colitis disease. And so I lost a lot of weight. I probably, for like the 3 weeks, 2 weeks, or however long, I probably lost like 28 pounds. And it was horrible. And because of this illness, I quit working out, I quit sports, I quit football, and I honestly kind of quit living my life. And so I switched to online school because I was constantly in and out of the hospital. And this was one of the lowest points of my life. This was just a horrible time. And then a year later, my sophomore year, I got in a relationship and committed a serious sin that left me devastated and disgusted in myself. And I was working a job then, and so for 6 months straight, I would just wake up, go to work, go home, eat food, sleep, go, and I just kept repeating like that. And it was just horrible. I remember this one specific time where I was just so mad at God. I was so frustrated. I literally was like, "I don't know why you could do this to me. It's like, I don't know why you would choose me of all people to do this challenge. Like, I am not I am not the person to call for this. I am in my room upset, crying, in pain, in a ball, laying on the floor, I am not ready for this." And so I remember just being so angry with God, cursing him, and just being so frustrated. And the second I got finished doing that, I sat there and cried for like a good long time, like an hour. And I was like, "This just isn't right." And I started praying. I started praying and asking for forgiveness for an hour straight, like a pure hour of just my faith just being tested. And so then later, my sophomore year, I was working, and one day, this girl I knew in elementary and middle school had walked in, and this girl had given me a Bible when we were in school because me and her were talking about God. And it wasn't a coincidence. It was really a miracle that she had walked in. And so me and her talked, and then her family began to take me to church. And the first service I attended was like the strongest, one of two or three strongest spiritual presence I've ever felt. And so the worship went like an hour longer than they usually do. And I'm not sure if this is the same day or if it was next week, but the next week or the same day they had a like a prayer group up there. And I went up there and I was like so hurt. I was trying to tell like this guy who was praying for me like what was going on in my life, and I was just like crying. Like I was so like heartbroken, and that was bad. It was like straight ugly crying, and I was like praying, crying, like had my eyes closed and crying. It was horrible. And so on April 29th, 2024, I got baptized. And the whole time I knew if God didn't send somebody and didn't send someone to bring me back to home, I would have stayed lost. I would have been I was so angry at God before that. And so that moment like changed my life. I started being more involved with church, and I started going to like young or youth group and then Sundays. And so after a while, the situation with me and that family kind of happened, and I stopped going to church with them. Going to my junior year, I still prayed and worshiped, but it wasn't consistent. By my senior year, I completely stopped. I got lost again. I had like come back to the thinking where like I believed in God, but I don't want to stop sinning. Like I'm sorry that I'm sinning, but like God, just wait, like let me sin more before I give my life to you. And obviously that's a horrible thinking. You should give your life to God whenever you can, because he can stop and cast away all those like dark thoughts. And so by my senior year, which is this year, I had completely stopped going to church. I started dating again, and then fell back into temptation. And even though I knew better, I was fallen. And so I left that relationship, and I believed that God was calling me back again. On December 1st, 2025, I was going on the first road trip or vacation I've had since being hospitalized in Sarasota, Florida. And so we were driving to North Carolina, and we stayed there for a week, and then we drove to Florida, and we stayed there for a week. And so on the way to North Carolina, we stopped at West Virginia at a truck stop. And so I had the feeling to like get up and like just walk around. Like I didn't have to use the bathroom. I had no intentions of buying anything. I was up and just walking. And so I found this bracelet on the bench, Philippians 3:14. I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. And so I was like, I feel like this is something I need to take with me. And so while in North Carolina, I went to Elevation Church 3 times while being there. And so on my last day, we were leaving on a Sunday. My bank flagged my card as fraud. I mean, probably because that was like the first like big purchase I was doing. And so I was trying to buy clothes from the church. And so a worker there actually paid for them. And this was like another miracle from God. Like I've had 2 or 3 already cool experiences with God on this trip. And here's a shirt. I've had it on in one of the videos, I believe, but I love it. I'm keeping it with me forever, probably, unless I outgrow it. Maybe I'll keep growing. But and then so we went to Florida. My aunt took me to Disneyland, and I had another interaction with someone like, oh, you go to that church? I'm like, no, I'm on vacation, but that church was... So I don't know, I talked about God a lot. And so I ended up coming home on December 13th, and I began searching for a new church to go to. And I started going to church with someone I thought might be part of God's plan. It didn't work out, and I was okay with that. I was fine finally trusting God's plans. I was fine with it not being plan A, and not being plan B, but it's plan C, and I can't rush these things. I just have to understand that it's God's way, it's God's timing. And so on December 31st, New Year's, I attended Oakland Church where they had an event from 8 p.m. to 2 in the morning that you could worship God. And so I've been to Oakland Church before. That's where the family used to take me, the friend's family. And so I knew people there. And so I had a good time. I was celebrating, worshiping God and whatnot. And around 11:50, the pastor was like, "All right, everyone, I want all you guys to pray, and I want you guys to leave all the sins and all these like chains and attachments that you have into 2025 and move on with the year with God." And so 11:50 to like 12:26, I think I was in a prayer, and I remember hearing everyone celebrate the New Year's, and I'm over here like worshiping God, praising or like praying to God, like praying that He would help me like finally give my life to God, finally change my life. Because like I said earlier, I was kind of in the mindset where like I just wanted, like, I believe in God, but I wanted my time to sin. I wanted my time to rebel. And obviously that's like an unhealthy way of thinking. But so I was like praying to God. I'm like, I just need you to actually change my life. I'm gonna give you like my full like spirit, my full soul, my full body, and I'm actually meaning what I said. And so I did, and I eventually celebrated New Year. And so around 2, I drove to my sister's house because that was closer to my house, and I slept there. And around like 5:40, I drove home. And on that way driving home, I was like, I love when I watch and see people's testimonies or see when people talk about God. Like I love listening to that. And I was like, maybe I should start something similar. And so that thought of me doing all of this came in a 20-minute drive. And since then, I've found a church that I enjoy. I found a girl who reads the Bible with me and prays with me and helps me build my faith, and it's something I'm really happy about. And it's just such a blessing because if I never had this illness, I might have never found God. I might have just been sitting there playing sports, sitting there being so obsessed with my body and myself. And so I'm honestly so blessed that I experienced this because it made me be so grateful for life. It made me so grateful that I am where I am and I don't have it any worse. And so this is way different. I hope you have a good one. Stay blessed. And I just want to say, if you haven't watched it this far, thank you so much because, I really don't know what I'm doing. It's obviously not good editing. I didn't take any classes, but thank you so much for watching. Bye bye.